I just need you to act like you're mine for tonight, she whispered, her diamond earrings glinting in the warm hotel light. The single dad froze, coffee cup in hand, staring at the woman every man in the city admired but few dared approach: Evelyn Hart, CEO of Hart Enterprises. She looked perfect, confident, untouchable, yet her voice trembled as if something inside her was breaking. He didn't know what surprised him more, that she was asking him, a nobody mechanic from the east side, or that her eyes looked like she'd been holding back tears for years, and his reply, it changed everything. He hadn't planned to attend the gala. He was only there to deliver a last-minute repair for one of the luxury cars outside the hotel ballroom. His hands were still greasy under his sleeves, his tie borrowed from his neighbor. But when his best friend, the head chef, begged him to stay for the after-party and enjoy free food for once, Luke decided one night couldn't hurt. He stood near the bar, feeling out of place among polished men in suits and women wearing diamonds. All he could think about was his daughter, Emma, home with the babysitter. He missed her laugh, her tiny hand holding his while she told him bedtime stories about princesses who fixed cars. He was halfway through his drink when Evelyn Hart stormed into the room. She was breathtaking, all confidence, heels clicking on the marble floor like thunder. People made way for her, whispering, admiring, pretending not to stare. Luke had seen her on magazine covers, read about her billion-dollar deals. But tonight, her smile didn't reach her eyes. When their gazes met across the room, it wasn't attraction that pulled them together. It was something unspoken, a flicker of exhaustion, a quiet understanding. She looked like someone who'd been carrying the world for too long. Minutes later, he heard her voice behind him. "Excuse me," she said softly. "Could you do me a favor?" He turned, caught off guard. Sure. What kind of favor?" She glanced toward a tall man across the ballroom, charming, slick smile, the kind of man who oozed arrogance. "My ex-fiancé," she said bitterly. "He's here with a potential investor. He's been trying to make me look desperate ever since I ended things. I can't give him that satisfaction tonight." Luke blinked. "So, you want me to just act like you're mine for tonight?" she interrupted. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were pleading. "Please. Just tonight." For a second, Luke didn't know what to say. He could have laughed it off, told her she had the wrong guy. But something in her voice, that quiet desperation, reminded him of nights when he'd had to fake a smile for his daughter, pretending everything was okay when it wasn't. So he nodded. "All right. But I don't act, I just show up as me." Her eyes widened. For the first time that evening, she smiled genuinely. "Then that's exactly what I need." They played their part perfectly. Luke put his hand gently on the small of her back, whispered jokes that made her laugh, real laughter, not the polite one she gave to board members. They danced, they talked, they made people believe. But as the night unfolded, the act stopped feeling like a performance. Evelyn found herself studying him, how his eyes softened when he mentioned his daughter, how he listened more than he spoke, how he didn't seem intimidated by her power, and Luke, he saw the cracks behind her confidence. The way she tightened her jaw when her ex passed by. The way her smile faded when the cameras stopped flashing. Later, when they escaped to the balcony for some air, Evelyn let out a shaky breath. "You're good at this," she said. "Better than I expected." Luke chuckled. "That's just me. I don't do pretending too well." She looked at him then, really looked. "You must be a great dad." He froze. "How'd you?" "The way you talk about her," Evelyn said softly. "Like she's your whole world." He smiled faintly. "She is. Emma's the reason I wake up every morning. Lost her mom when she was 2. Been doing my best ever since." Evelyn's gaze softened. For a moment, the powerful CEO wasn't standing there. Just a woman, one who understood loss. "I know what that's like," she whispered. "Trying to hold everything together when you're falling apart inside." The night grew quiet around them. For the first time in years, Evelyn felt seen, not as a CEO, not as a symbol of success, but as a person. By the end of the gala, her ex approached, smug and condescending. "Well, Evelyn," he said loudly, "didn't expect you to find someone so ordinary." Luke straightened. "Ordinary's underrated," he said evenly. "At least ordinary people keep their promises." The room went silent. Evelyn stared at him, shocked. No one had ever defended her like that, not even when she was right. Her ex turned red and walked away. The crowd moved on. Evelyn just stood there, speechless, her heart pounding for reasons she couldn't explain. When the night ended, she walked him to the door. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You didn't have to do any of that." Luke smiled. "You said you needed someone to act like they were yours. For what it's worth, I meant it while it lasted." Her breath caught. "And if it didn't have to end?" He looked down, then back at her with that same gentle honesty that had melted her walls. "Then you'd have to stop pretending too." She didn't have a reply. Just a look, one that lingered long after he walked away. A week later, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The man who didn't want anything from her. The one who didn't care about her power, her fame, or her fortune. And when she finally showed up at his garage, heels clicking on the same dusty floor where he worked every day, Luke looked up from under the hood of a car. "Stunned you again?" he asked, wiping his hands. She smiled nervously. "Yeah. I realized I don't want you to just act like you're mine anymore." He stared at her, then laughed softly. "You sure you can handle a guy with grease on his hands?" Evelyn stepped closer. "I'm more worried about whether you can handle someone who's learning how to feel again." He dropped the wrench, met her eyes, and for once, words weren't needed, because sometimes, love doesn't start with a promise, it starts with a favor. And ends with the truth neither of them expected. That pretending was easy, but falling was real.